Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. This is Pixelia here. I'm with my man Spottie WiFi, streaming into the metaverse, into the central game venue. This is a fun night for us. Spottie, my man, thank you for being here. You're quite a legend, not only in the Decentraland community, but also in the NFT space. So I am honored to have you here today. Thank you for that.
Man, it's my pleasure. Thank you, bro. I'm glad to be here. Glad to sit down with you, and shout out to everybody at the Central Games, and everybody tuned in right now.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, shout out to the Central Games. Thank you, Cass. Um, so, bro, look, we have an interesting chat ahead of us, but even if you're a superstar in here, you always get the same first question asked. How was it that you started in the crypto space? Like, I know you're an OG, and I know it was maybe a fun ride, but how did that process started, and how did that process led you to the Central End?
So I got started in the crypto space in 2017, and I bought the top. Basically, that was my introduction. Was like if you look at the chart all year 2017, crypto was just going up and up and up, just printing. Like you could have bought anything. I think I saw some post of like, if you put I don't know, it was like basically a lot of people made a lot of money, or at least were paper millionaires. Maybe they didn't sell at the right time, but I bought at the wrong time for sure. It was over the holidays in 2017. I was at my parents' house and seeing on the news how they were talking about how crypto was going crazy. And I just had no experience with investing, no experience with markets, FOMO'd in, just peak FOMO, like absolutely pure, raw, uncut FOMO. And at that time, you could even put you could buy crypto on credit cards on Coinbase, So I was like maxing out credit cards. It just hit me as FOMO, like so hard. And it crashed. Everything crashed like comically soon after I way over invested. And so I just had to hold that bag for like a long time. It was a tough 2 years, the whole bear market. But I had a friend who told me, you don't lose anything until you sell. And I'm the type of person where I took that I took that loss, but I was convicted. Like the reason I went so hard into it, even though I way over invested and was stupid, I was so convicted to do that because it just clicked to me that like, yes, the technology does make sense after I really looked at it, So I doubled down in the bear market, I bought more in the bear market, actually. All of that brought me to Decentraland in 2021, because by 2021, I was laid off of my day job due to COVID since the year before. And I was sort of between jobs, freelancing here and there, but I had a lot of time on my hands. I stumbled into NBA Top Shot from Twitter, seeing people talking about it, tweeting about it. I bought a CryptoPunk because my friend Crypto Novo, shout out to the Novoverse, he was really into Top Shot. We started a YouTube show in January 2021. And by February, he had basically helped me understand the value of a CryptoPunk, and I bought one. And then, I put out an album inspired by my CryptoPunk, very nerdy concept album about the life and times of the world's best and only CryptoPunk rapper, Spottie WiFi. That became a successful NFT collection. And one of my very, very first performance as Spottie WiFi was in Decentraland. Okay, so the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which I'm a member of since the month that they sold out, they invited me to perform at the yacht club. It's a Decentral Games build, so the yacht club.
Yeah, it's a boat. It's like a casino boat.
Yes, it was the opening party of the Riverboat Casino. I performed there with Goldrilla, my Bored Ape, with DJ Madskells, my DJ, and it was really cool. So that was my introduction to Decentraland. Really, I had heard of Decentraland back in 2017, but and I might have owned some Mana. I don't even know. But it was 2021 when I really got in there and did my first performance. And then later that year, I opened for Paris Hilton at the Metaverse Music Festival. Last year, I performed on the main stage at the Metaverse Music Festival. So Decentraland's been really good to me. It's been a great place for me to connect with music fans, you know, and people that love the metaverse and that are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. So it's been great.
That's dope. Yeah, I saw you in the music festival main stage. It was a cool performance.
Thank you,
By the way,
brother.
I'm a holder of your gold gorilla. It's the one I like. I love the most. That's the one I got. Oh,
Is it Elite Ape or full
Elite
set?
Eight. Yeah,
Okay, nice. That's OG.
I just
That's
got
super
rocket.
OG, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I just loved it. Yo, so you arrived at the Central Land. I remember the first time you tweeted about you having bought a land. You just published like a picture of you in like an empty parcel with the pole that said Spottie WiFi
Yeah,
Avenue, whatever.
right.
It was like a year ago, I want to say, less than a year ago. You
Yeah,
once you entered, huh?
I was just going to say, good question. I don't remember how recently that was. I thought it was earlier this year, but it might have been a little earlier. I don't remember.
Like I just have the image of the picture in my head, and since then, like everything evolved very fast. Now now you have your venue, Spotland. Um, you team up with Team Tracks, with TJ Tracks, an amazing person by the way. He
Yes,
was with
sir.
us last season. uh, his son is an amazing musician, gifted musician. He's gonna kick so much ass in the future. But like you've been moving fast, and I'm pretty sure that as you arrived to the Central Land, there were many factors that you were, let's say, not aware of by the time you got there. And then, this happens to a lot of people. But you get to the Central Land, you think it's just a game, and then you find out how the DAO works. You know, the let's say the politics behind the Central Land. And I want to focus our attention a little bit over there because I gotta say, like, a name like you, just like Soldier Boy, like all these big artists that have been coming to the Central, and we've seen the impact an artist like this can have in the platform. You know, like Ozzy Osbourne in the last festival, like it broke the Central, like it literally broke it. So I saw the Twitter promo of the festival that like you have envisioned for the Central and to onboard artists like good quality artists in a different way. And and I want you to tell me about that process because I know you've been submitting proposals, getting involved. But I want you to tell me your perspective on this.
Yeah, so we submitted one proposal. There's one proposal that I've myself submitted or been a part of in any way. And that was a proposal for a 4-day music festival in November. Because at that time, uh, basically I had just done a performance for Fashion Week, and I was really inspired, and I was thinking, it would be really cool now that I own land to do my own thing, and like shine a light on a lot of artists that maybe they're already grinding in Decentraland. And a lot of them, by the way, are grinding in Decentraland and not getting paid, and that's something I wanted to address too. There are a lot of DAO proposals that rely on talent to be successful, rely on performers to be successful, but don't have in their budget a way to help those performers be successful, right? Because there's no budget for them. So that was a problem that I wanted to address with my proposal. And I thought that some of the festivals in the past, there's a lot of things that could have been done better, like the community loved, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the community seemed to love the True Band Room and some of the more the community oriented events, things going on with Decentral Games. They love that kind of stuff more than like, having some big artists send an audio file where they're shouting out Decentraland 2 or 3 times so that we can get some pre-recorded animated avatar demonstration. Like that's just what I've heard from the community. So to me, I wanted to like bring something like that where we're getting the artists that are really interested in Decentraland, not just the biggest names that we can afford. You know what I mean? And at the same time, make sure that the smaller artists are also being compensated. So we put that forward, and I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of lessons about how a DAO works. That was my first time submitting any kind of proposal for a DAO, but it's not my first time throwing a concert or a festival, or booking talent or doing or performing or putting on events in Decentraland for that matter. Or the team that we have around us. Shelly Van from the True Band Room is our programming director for All Time High Festival. And right now we're, at the time of this recording, a lot has changed. Like originally the foundation said they weren't going to throw a music festival this year. I guess now they are going to throw a music festival this year from what I'm hearing. And hopefully someday, they'll share more information on that. Hopefully by the time this video is out. But really, All Time High Fest is looking to bring a new standard to talent booking and to festival programming in Decentraland in a way that is truly community-led and not just labeled as a community-led effort.
Yeah, I can see the value on that, because actually empowering the community on an event like this prevents, um, the usual bullshit, gatekeeping, you know, money being misused. Like this it just makes it fair, as it's supposed to be.
Well, it's just really difficult. Like there's a ton of gatekeeping, and to a certain extent, you cannot eliminate gatekeeping. Look, nepotism and under the table dealings and friendly whatever enterprises, those things, you can never eliminate them, but we do have some pretty egregious things going on in the Decentraland DAO. I can say that. And I would just say that at the end of the day, we have to judge a tree by its fruits, And so if we're trusting people, like, and this is on the DAO side and on the foundation side, by the way, and sometimes especially on the foundation side. If we're trusting people that don't have a background or an expertise in what they're proposing to do, or haven't demonstrated that they can do it successfully, and if we're not measuring success in a way that is at least influenced by community input, then I think we're going to continue to spin our wheels. And I think it's time that we kind of ask a lot of questions, because there's a lot of people that have been in the same chairs for years, doing the same shit, and we're getting the same results over and over.
Yeah, there's a lot of money being misused. And
man, like if you think about it, like the big music festivals that have happened in the past, this is one of the problems that I see, is like, you can come to my party in Spottie Land on a Tuesday night, and you might get to hang out with Soulja Boy. You might get to actually hang out with Alan Kingdom. You might get to hang out with Stocks. You might get to hang out with Nessie the Rilla. And they're actually in the chat because they actually are having fun. And it's not just transactional. You know what I mean? And that's what I have seen get the community really excited. And I think that when what we've seen in the past with the festivals, a lot of people will say, oh, well, we didn't get the results we wanted, or this or that. Number one, how are you measuring success? And number two, who was managing that? And have they demonstrated that success in the past? If they haven't done what you're looking to achieve in the past, why would you think they could do it now? And how much money are they empowered to spend in pursuit of that goal that they probably don't know how to achieve?
It feels like sometimes the DAO is financing a person's or a people or a group of people, like trial by fire. You know, like I want to try this, and I'm gonna get money from that.
Well, I absolutely think we need a more proactive review process of grant proposals also. We have grant proposals where, we have people that they've had fewer than 10 people on their land that the proposal was to support in the past 90 days, since they received the grant. And, you know, there, unless somebody cares enough to raise a red flag, then there's no automatic process by which any review, or there's no grading scale. There's nowhere I can go on the Decentraland DAO website and see what was the ROI, how many minutes in world were generated worth of engagement for the
There's
dollars
no
that we
KPIs
spent.
on the process. It's like a very un unsupervised process, I want to say. And I do agree with you perfectly. Like the central and DAO, like at the end of the day, in the end of the day, it's a company. You know, it needs to live somehow. It's like an entity, a living entity, and it needs to be, productive to survive. Otherwise, it's just gonna die. How it is.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the misconceptions is I've heard people say that the DAO is glorified sometimes as this democratic thing. The DAO is really not democratic. You don't, when you go to vote for, you don't get one vote per wallet. You get one vote per mana. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So it is not a democracy. It's a plutocracy.
Of
Okay. And
course.
that is grossly abused right now. Grossly abused.
I've seen proposals like blocked by one vote, and it's like, what? What did just happen? Like 77 people wanted it, and then comes just one person and blocks it
Right.
all. That's
Exactly.
democratic.
Exactly. So, and I think, yeah, anyways, the DAO has a lot of problems. The foundation has a lot of problems. I just think ultimately, like, most people I think are thinking way too small. Like, people within Decentraland are sometimes competing with each other, and really our competition is not Decentraland. Like, our competition is not within Decentraland. Our competition is
Outside.
Fortnite. Our competition is Roblox. Our competition is all these other virtual worlds,
Yep.
Web3, Web2, whatever it is. And we're so busy trying to, like, gatekeep a ship that is taking on water, and it's really just cancerous, and it's bad. And it's not that hard to see at all. If you just look under the hood, it's really clear. If you're ever looking for some light reading, just go on the DAO website and read through some of the grants that are still active or have passed, and then go, like, look at publicly available information to see, okay, did this generate any traffic? Did this generate any engagement? Like, the answers are very often slim to none.
I agreed. Agreed. But Spotty, let's. Okay, I think it's just lack of education for the central and community. I think that the only way to generate responsible users is by teaching them why they need to be responsible. Like there has to be an educational aspect to this, because in the end, like when we're onboarding people, at least this is the way I see it. When I'm onboarding someone, I feel responsible for that person. You know, like I feel it's my job to show them around. You know how it works, what to do, what not to do, what's safe, what's not safe, and at least the basics. Um, but if I lack the correct education on the responsibilities that a central end user should have, then I'm just gonna transmit my ignorance to someone else.
You
Not
know,
in an ill intention way. It's just replicating the lack of knowledge. It's very easy. So I think
so
that education is part of the answer, though. What do you think, Rob?
I, I 100% agree. Education is a big part of the answer. I think onboarding in general is a big part of the answer. You know, the more artists we have, the more creators that we have in Decentraland, the more the existing artists and the existing grantees are going to have to step their game up. You know, that's the way I see it. So onboarding new artists is a pivotal part of what I'm looking to achieve and accomplish and what we've been doing, because there are a lot of creators that that also have reach, you know, that can benefit from the platform, and can build cool shit. So we want to bring them on, and education is a big part of that. And then educating at the layer one of the artists, and then layer two of their audiences, you know, educating their fans about how to get into Decentraland, you know, and have a good time and everything. So education is absolutely crucial. I would only add that in some ways right now, it's like education isn't enough because of the way the voting power is distributed and allocated. It's like the game is rigged right now. I could snap my fingers and everybody in the world would be educated about Decentraland and how to get on board and
The
how to
problem is still gonna be there. I get what you're saying.
and have a MetaMask wallet and everything. But the problem is still there, which is that the DAO is super exploitable right now. If you have a bunch of money and you want a bunch of more money, then like you should check out the Decentraland DAO. That's the problem right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that problem doesn't go away. In fact, the problem gets worse as more people get educated and figure out how exploitable this DAO and how exploited the DAO is.
So you think like on top of education, like the real problem lies deeper. Like it's
we
like
need
a genesis
activism.
problem, you know?
We need activism. We need active investors and activist investors. We need people doing, you know, and maybe everybody isn't an event promoter. Maybe everybody isn't, you know, an architect in Decentraland or whatever, but we need people that are ready to like talk about these things, because we have a lot of like we have a lot of grantees that are right now kind of have historically steered the conversations around Decentraland on Twitter and in Twitter Spaces and in Discord and things like that. And those, if you're a grantee, you have a conflict of interest, like period. If you're a grantee, and I say this with a lot of love and respect for a lot of grantees, and someday I might be a grantee. I don't know, it's possible. But if you're a grantee, you automatically have a certain perspective that is influenced by the fact that you have accepted and received money from the DAO, you know? And so we need new voices, and we can't just gatekeep and say, oh, you're new to the DAO, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people might not be new to Decentraland. Maybe people have spent years in Decentraland like myself, but we haven't been super active in the DAO. There's a lot of people that have spent years in the metaverse, but haven't spent time in Decentraland. There's people that have spent years in Web3, but haven't spent time in the metaverse. There's people that have spent years in crypto, but have never thought about NFTs. Like the gatekeeping has to stop, and we need people that are brave enough to just call out the bullshit, I think is what we really need. That's gonna help a lot, because there's a lot of it to call out right now.
I personally believe that's exactly what's lacking in the space. Just people to call out the bullshit of others. You know, there's a lot of, like, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to be the only one saying it type of vibe, you know. But it's like I can see why for a person like you this is not a problem, because you used to being a pioneer. You know, you're used to taking a stand. Fuck, I myself, I'm also used to it. Not a lot of people is used to that, and I do
Yes.
agree with you on that. It needs activist investors. It's a good term. An activist investor, someone who can, you know, back up his speech with money as well. or at least
let
with
me
voting power, because
let
in
me
the end, for the DAO, what works is the voting power. So yeah,
in fact, I'm sorry to interrupt you. In fact, let me tell you how dysfunctional this is. Okay, I own over 100 parcels of land. Okay, in Decentraland, 95 parcels or more, at least 95 parcels are in Etheria, the district of Etheria in the
mhm.
northeast part of the map. Okay. Do you know how much voting power I have for those 95 parcels? That's Spotty land. That's my big home base. 95 parcels. Spotty Wi-Fi theme park.
For the
95.
Ethereum ones, I don't think you have a lot of voting power, maybe nothing,
I have no voting power. I have no
because
voting
those
power.
lands,
Okay.
they give you like they don't work in the same way that the main ninety
Correct.
thousand parcels.
Correct. Now, I know a lot of people already know that and everything that are in your audience because this is a very Decentraland sophisticated audience. But remind yourself, if you already knew that, just remind yourself, like, that's crazy. And then you have voting power being delegated. You have 500K batches of voting power being delegated to people. Some of these people have grants, have a 60K grant, and are doing absolutely nothing but moved out of their parents' house and moved to some beach in Thailand on Instagram, and have had 9 people at their parcel in the past 3 months, and that person is walking around with, $250,000 worth of voting power delegated by a founder of Decentraland. And meanwhile, I'm investing in the platform, bootstrapping, and have no voting power. And also, not only do I not have any voting power, but I can't even get in touch with, the district or the people that control my voting power when I have my own proposal submitted to the DAO. It's just so
Oh, that's
gate
fucked
kept.
up.
It's
I didn't
crazy.
know that.
It's just so gate kept. It's insane. So that's what I'm saying. Like, people need to call it out. And the problem is, it's just classic gatekeeping. It's nothing that's unusual in the music industry to me. But if you call out the wrong person, then you might not get featured in the Metaverse Festival. You might not get featured in Fashion Week, or you might not get your votes. You might not get those other 20 people that have 500,000 voting power to vote for you. And it's just crazy right now. So, when it comes, I'm actually kind of in favor of this idea that's being floated of pausing a lot of the grants, a lot of the grant activity that's going on. I actually don't mind that idea. Generally speaking, I think we need to be spending money. We need to be spending more money than we are spending, actually, if we want to compete as a digital world. But the way we're spending it now is unintelligent and unsophisticated and not strategic at
Unsustainable,
all. Unsustainable, absolutely.
bro. Unsustainable. Spotty, man, my head is tripping right now. like you, I'm being triggered in so many ways. Let me ask you something. Let's 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 face the facts for a second, and let's understand something. Like the power that you have as an artist is is a lot bigger, and given to actually have a deep impact in the community because of the connections that you have made along your crypto way. And I like being again, coming back to something I said before, being a pioneer allows you to do that. Like, being the first one to have done something in this space, especially in your specific space like music, NFTs, you have been the go-to guy for big names like Snoop Dogg. Let's just for name one. And the power that you have is exactly what you said. Like, these guys are actually in chat talking to people, and the important thing is not the musician itself. That he's just one dude. It's the community behind the musician. That's what matters. It's just not the one dude. It's like maybe hundreds of thousands of dudes and the dead. That they can just jump in following this person. with the expectation of just chatting with them for a second. And this is like very powerful. It, and again, it's grossly underestimated, grossly underestimated. Because if you ask me, and this has nothing to do with interview or respect that I have to you, if you ask me, who would you give money to? This person that wants to develop this game in world or Spottie WiFi to a festival, Spottie, take my money because I know what that means. You know, a game is
Well,
just like I was telling you, you're just financing someone to find out if they can pursue their dream of video game coding or creation. Fuck that.
no,
I
thank
paid
you.
for my university.
No,
So
thank you for saying that. I mean, I acknowledge our proposal was definitely flawed in terms of the way we rolled it out, the timing of it. Like, I learned a lot, so I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm just upset that I didn't get a grant proposal. Like, I learned a ton by going through that process. I would recommend anybody that has a grant proposal idea, do it, because you'll just learn a ton. And I would also say I'm not the issue with me with the voting power. It's not that I care because I really wanted that whatever that amount of voting power would be, a couple 100,000 or whatever. It's the principle that it's not a democracy at all. You know what I mean? If I wanted $250,000 worth of voting power, I'll have it. But it's not that. It's the principle. And so, anyways, I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but yeah, when it comes to the dollars and the way that they're spent, I just feel like right now we're not seeing the results that we need to see. And if you look at our actual competition, like, what is Sandbox doing? They've signed Snoop Dogg, the Elvis Presley estate, LaMelo
the
Ball, like,
football players, the Punaguero, like all the
yo,
Manchester people.
we're not going to be able to compete with that if we're given 60K grants to some artist, that's flying around the world taking Instagram pictures and has 19 monthly listeners on Spotify. Like, that's not going to compete with the Sandbox. I'm sorry. And I respect anybody that is actually like a grantee and making good use of the money. And I respect any artist that has a small following, like myself. I have a small following, but like, I'm working here, so I just think we got to get serious. We got to really get serious about how much money we're spending, because we're not spending enough. And then we got to get serious about how that money gets spent, because right now it's just blowing in the wind.
But in the end, if you pump $10 million and it's poorly spent, it's the same. Nothing will be accomplished. So the
Sadly.
problem lies within. And look, Spotty, if you were to like if you were given the power to change something right here, right now, what would you do? Like, what would you change and why?
Oh, well, that's a big question, man. I guess, well, I can tell you a couple things I might change.
You just
I,
get the one.
I get one. I get one, right? I get one.
Yeah, just one.
Um, Man, I don't think this is gonna. I don't know if I have there's not a one. There's not a one single bullet. I don't think. I don't think there's a silver bullet. I'll say just one idea I've had as a conversation starter is, like, if you're getting a grant over a certain number of thousands of dollars, like, I would like to know who the fuck you are. And I mean, who you actually, I would like you to be doxxed. That's just what I think, me personally. Um, I I was doxxed when I started in 2021. And I'm sorry, I was undoxxed. I was undoxxed when I started. By the time I put out an NFT collection, I said I have to have an LLC and I'm going to dox. I'm not going to ask anybody to buy something from me if I'm undoxxed. I respect that you can be a really great creator and be undoxxed, but as a DAO participant, I'm not interested in really giving you my money or our money if you can't tell me who you are and what your resume actually is. Because we have a lot of undoxed people that will talk about their resume and their past credentials, and it's impossible to know if they're bullshitting or not, And all you can look at is the results. And if all I'm looking at is the results that they deliver, I might be inclined to think that their resume is bullshit, but I have no way of really knowing, you know. So
even the place.
that's a small thing. That's like a low hanging fruit thing that, like, you know, somebody could
Oh,
put that.
but it is powerful because it the act of doxing yourself in this space creates a phenomenon that it's lacking a lot in the space, which is accountability. You know,
Exactly.
with
Exactly.
when the anonymity factor is there, the only thing that you can hold accountable is a wallet. When
Like,
that is linked to a face, then that's a game changer right there.
let's just say we find out irrefutable evidence that somebody has committed fraud and taken $60,000 or more from the DAO, right? And misspent the funds, you know, bought vacations and clothes and cars, whatever, right? Let's just say that we had irrefutable evidence. If that person is doxxed, then the DAO has a lot more possibilities for recourse than if that person is undoxed, right?
Yep.
Now you have to ask yourself, would that scenario ever happen? Would anybody ever get a grant proposal passed for tens of thousands of dollars and then abuse the funds? Well, that's a question you have to ask yourself. And if you're curious, for a starting point, you can go to the grant website and just start reading grants that have passed or that are currently active.
Trust me, I have, my friend.
And how many of them are doxed versus undoxed? Some are. There's both. You know, that's what I see.
I personally think that integrity is not linked to anonymity or lack of anonymity, but uh, being doxxed does forces you to be more, honest. I want to
It's
say,
just, you know, let me put it this way. Sandbox and the other side, Yuga Labs, they're not cutting $60,000 checks to undoxed influencers with 20 Spotify listeners. Like, that's what we're literally, like, this is literally what happens in this DAO. You see, like,
yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I guess this was just meant to happen, and it's a good thing that now you're more active in the central end. I can see how there's a bunch of, like, a huge group of people right now that I some of them I call them my friends, that they have been working consistently for the space, and I can see how all the actors of today will be the success of tomorrow. But I agree with you. A lot of things need to be fixed, but hey, nothing is perfect, and I think that us as a community, we bear and we have a big responsibility on making sure that this change actually happens. And we need more people like you, willing to call out the bullshit, willing to, to put these questions on the table, to say the right things in the right time, to create awareness at least. There's the only way to learn or to accept that there's an issue is by just discussing it. So
Absolutely.
it's a very
Absolutely.
powerful act. I do appreciate that, bro. As a musician, I appreciate you a lot. Uh, I'm gonna have to say that I would love for us to do a second interview on the musical aspect of Spottie WiFi. But this conversation, I think this is a must, especially for the upcoming events in the Central End. It's good that people know that this is being discussed, and that way maybe they can also share their thoughts. Maybe there's a lot of people thinking maybe I'm the only person discussing this or thinking this.
Right.
Well, now you're not. So thank you for doing this for the community, for the space, and I do hope to see you more in the Central and doing what you do best, which is create value for the space, man. So
Man, thank you so much. I just want to say that, like, thank you for this opportunity to have a real in-depth conversation about, the opportunities and the challenges, in Decentraland and in the DAO specifically, and with the foundation. I don't want to forget them, but I want to also make sure that everybody understands I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I feel that the metaverse and Decentraland, including Decentraland, are super oversold right now, super slept on. The hype got too big too fast, with like Meta, Facebook, and everything. But I don't think we're wrong. It's just like when the bear market, in 2018 and 2019, after I was, buying the top in 2017, except now I feel like we're investing at the bottom. That's what I really feel. So I think if we can just remind ourselves that, like, this is a brutal bear market. Decentraland is still developing. Decentral Games just got, or is getting their Malta license, or just got their Malta license. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of great things are happening. Let's just keep fighting the fight, and let's just stick together. That's it. And
and
call
keep
out the
buying those
gatekeeping.
dips.
Buy the dips. That's it. That's it. Exactly.
Buying those dips. By the way, it's
Yes,
still
sir.
minting, right? Until the end of the month.
It is. Yep. Exactly.
Okay, so to all those of you, just go check out the music of Mr. Spottie WiFi. Brand new song released in August. Buy the dips. Um, Pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of good songs and good music to check. And dude, Stock's album,
So good. So
so
good.
cool. It was
Absolutely.
good. It was good.
And by the way, Ash, I want to add this too. The reaction I've gotten from my friends and my artists that are new to Decentraland is amazing. One form of gatekeeping that I've heard is people saying, well, like, oh, we shouldn't be investing in music or bringing in talent or names because we can't hold thousands and thousands of people. Well, you know what? Like,
Let's change
basically,
that.
what we have right now, I understand product development is always going to be a focus, but like, we actually have a better product than a lot of us will talk about publicly right now. And I feel like that's a form of gatekeeping, where there are thousands or millions of indie artists that can come into Decentraland today, and it can really help them, and they can contribute a ton to the community. So let's not overlook that. And let's remember that it's the metaverse. Gaming and music, like, it's 1A, 1B. When it comes to content, like, that's where it's at. Let's empower that. Let's foster that. Other than the casinos, think about it, other than the casinos, what is the lifeblood of, like, constant traffic in Decentraland? It's
The art,
music.
bro, the art. It's
It's
the
the
social
artists and
aspect of
creators and
Switzerland.
music, so
Yeah,
let's remember that. And the whole thing is, we have the ability to cut out the middlemen. So let's make sure we're not giving the down money to the middlemen.
agreed. Powerful words by Mr. Spotty Wi-Fi. Bro, thank you for being here. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate your words. There's a lot of things to think about after this conversation, but I am psyched and excited that we're having this conversation. Like this
Likewise.
this is necessary. Like once people get uncomfortable, they grow. Something needs to grow better.
Absolutely. And check
Discomfort
out,
is necessary.
and this is airing on, I believe right now it's Tuesday. So we have our party, like, right after this. Our party is Tap In Tuesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard
Yes,
Time,
sir.
hosted by CJ Tracks. So come check us out. You can find us at 100,77 is the coordinates, or you can go to spotty.land.
We will be there right after the show, my man, to show your guys, support and love to the track family as well. Thank you for being here, man. It's been a pleasure and
Yes,
it's
sir.
been an honor. Thank you for your time. Take care, brother.